The words hit me before I even saw his face. I was standing near the buffet table, plate in hand, when I heard my brother's voice carrying across the crowded restaurant. "Yeah, she claims she works at some big tech company," he said, loud enough for half the family to hear. "But honestly, I think she's just exaggerating. You know how she is." My hand froze halfway to the scrambled eggs. Heat flooded my cheeks. I turned slowly, and there he was. My brother, Austin, surrounded by aunts and uncles, grinning like he'd just told the funniest joke in the world. Everyone was looking at him, nodding, some even laughing softly. Then, one by one, their eyes shifted to me. I felt exposed. Humiliated. My throat tightened, and my hand started trembling so badly I had to set my plate down before I dropped it. Austin caught my eye and smirked. That smirk said everything. He knew exactly what he was doing. Then, from beside him, his fiancée, Natasha, tilted her head. Her voice was quiet, but I heard it clearly. "Really?" she said, the single word dripping with something I couldn't quite place. She looked at Austin, then at me, her expression unreadable. I couldn't stay in that dining room. I walked quickly toward the kitchen, my heels clicking against the tile floor, trying to keep my breathing steady. I pushed through the swinging door and leaned against the counter, pressing my palms flat against the cool surface. The door opened behind me. "Austin. What is your problem?" I hissed, whirling around to face him. He shrugged, completely unbothered. "Just telling the truth. No one really believes you anyway. I work at Tech Corp. I'm a senior software engineer. You know this." "Do I?" He crossed his arms, leaning casually against the doorframe. "Because it's pretty convenient how you never invite anyone to your office. How you're always too busy to prove anything." My jaw dropped. "I don't need to prove anything to you." "Maybe not to me," he said, his voice dropping lower. "But to them? Yeah, you do. And you can't. That's the problem." I stared at him, searching for some trace of the brother I used to know. There was nothing. Just cruelty wrapped in a smile. "I'm protecting the family," he added. "From your lies." He turned and walked out, leaving me standing there, shaking with anger. I stayed in the kitchen for a few minutes, trying to pull myself together. When I finally stepped back into the dining room, the energy had shifted. People weren't looking at me anymore, but I could feel their judgment hanging in the air like smoke. I made my way toward the exit, ready to leave this disaster behind. Then Natasha appeared in front of me, blocking my path. She was shorter than me, with sharp eyes and perfectly styled hair. She looked at me for a long moment, her expression serious. "Do you actually work at the company you claim?" she asked quietly. The question caught me off guard. Was this a trap? Was she testing me for Austin? Or was there something else happening here? "Yes," I said firmly. "I do." She studied my face, her eyes narrowing slightly. Then, without another word, she smiled. It wasn't warm. It wasn't comforting. It was knowing. She turned and walked away, leaving me standing there, more confused than ever. What did she know? And why did it feel like she was on my side? By the time I got home, my phone was already buzzing. I pulled it out and saw notifications stacking up on the screen. Instagram, Twitter, messages from old coworkers. My stomach dropped. Austin had posted something. I clicked on his story and there it was. A photo from brunch with a caption that made my blood run cold, family time. Love when everyone can be real with each other. No more fake success stories. Face with tears of joy. It was subtle enough to have plausible deniability. But everyone who knew us would understand exactly what he meant. I scrolled through the comments. Some people were laughing. Others were asking questions. A few were tagging people I worked with. Then I saw a message from a colleague at Tech Corp. Hey, is everything okay? Saw something weird online. Another message, are you actually in the position you said you were? My heart pounded. This wasn't just family drama anymore. Austin was trying to sabotage my career. He was actively destroying my professional reputation because of some twisted need to make me look small. I sat on my couch, staring at my phone, trying to figure out what to do next. One thing was clear, this wasn't going to stop on its own. The next morning, I met my childhood best friend, Camilla, at a coffee shop downtown. She'd been at the brunch too, sitting quietly in the corner, watching everything unfold. When I told her about the social media posts and the messages from coworkers, her face darkened. He's crossing a line, she said. This isn't just sibling rivalry anymore. He's trying to ruin you. I know. I wrapped my hands around my coffee cup, needing the warmth. But I don't know how to stop him. You have proof, right? Of your job, your position, everything? Of course. My employee badge, pay stubs, emails from my boss. I have everything. Camilla leaned back in her chair, thinking. Then you need to be strategic. Don't just react. Plan. Make him regret this. Her words settled over me like armor. She was right. I couldn't just defend myself. I needed to go on the offense. As we were leaving the coffee shop, I noticed someone standing near the entrance. Austin. He was watching us, his expression cold. He'd been listening. Camilla saw him too. She squeezed my hand. Be careful, she whispered. He's desperate. That evening, Natasha called me. I almost didn't answer. But something told me I should. We need to talk, she said without preamble. In person. Can you meet me tomorrow? About what? About Austin. About what he's been doing to you. She paused. I might know a way to fix this. But I need to know if you're ready to fight back. My heart raced. Why are you helping me? Because, she said slowly, I'm starting to realize I might be engaged to someone I don't actually know. We agreed to meet at a park the next afternoon. When I hung up, I sat in silence, trying to process what was happening. Natasha didn't trust Austin. That meant she'd seen something. Something that made her doubt him enough to reach out to me. Maybe I wasn't as alone as I thought. The next family dinner was unavoidable. My mother had insisted everyone come, probably hoping to smooth over whatever tension she'd sensed at brunch. I walked into my parents' house with my head high, determined not to let Austin break me. He was already there, holding court in the living room. When I walked in, he looked up and grinned. There she is. Our big tech executive. The mockery in his voice was unmistakable. A few relatives shifted uncomfortably. My uncle chuckled nervously. How much do you make again? Austin continued. Oh wait, you won't say. Because it's not real. I kept my face neutral, even though rage was building in my chest like a fire. I don't discuss my salary with people who haven't earned the right to know. Translation, she doesn't make anything. He looked around the room, playing to his audience. Probably works some entry-level job and tells everyone she's important. My mother frowned. Austin, that's enough. But the damage was done. I could see it in people's faces. Doubt. Suspicion. They were starting to believe him. Then my aunt, the one who'd always been skeptical of Austin, spoke up. Is that true? She asked quietly. But she wasn't looking at me. She was looking at him. 2 days later, I received an email that made my hands shake. It was from my boss, Harrison. Wait, no. From my boss, Mr. Wallace. The subject line read, Meeting Request, Role Clarification. I opened it, my stomach twisting. The email was professional but concerning. I received some correspondence regarding your position and responsibilities. I'd like to schedule a meeting to clarify your role and address any questions. Austin. He'd actually emailed my boss. He'd gone to my workplace, to the people who controlled my career, and planted seeds of doubt. This was beyond petty. This was calculated destruction. I immediately started gathering documentation. Every project I'd led, every performance review, every email praising my work. I compiled it all into a folder, building my defense. But beneath the panic, something else was growing. Determination. Austin had pushed too far. He'd made this personal, professional, and public. And he was about to learn that I wasn't the weak little sister he thought I was. I replied to Mr. Wallace, scheduling the meeting for the end of the week. Then I added one more line. I look forward to clarifying any misunderstandings and discussing my recent project successes. Professional. Confident. Unshaken. Dinner that night at my parents' house was tense. My father tried to keep conversation light, but the undercurrent of conflict was impossible to ignore. My mother kept glancing between Austin and me, her expression worried. When Austin excused himself to take a call, my mother leaned toward me. "Are you sure everything's okay with your job, honey?" The question felt like a knife. Even my own mother was doubting me now. "Yes, Mom. Everything's fine. It's just..." Austin mentioned some concerns, and we want to make sure you're being honest with us. Honest. The word stung. I'd never lied to them. But Austin's campaign was working. He was turning my own family against me. As I was helping clear the dishes, Natasha appeared beside me. She pressed something into my hand. A folded piece of paper. After dinner, she whispered, "Read this alone." I slipped the note into my pocket, my heart pounding. What had she found? Later, in my car, I unfolded the paper. It was an address and a time. Tomorrow. 2 p.m. And below that, 3 words, "I have proof." I met Natasha at a small cafe on the edge of town, somewhere quiet where we wouldn't be seen. She arrived carrying a laptop bag and looking nervous. When she sat down, she immediately pulled out her phone. "I need to show you something," she said. "But first, you need to promise me this stays between us until we're ready." Ready for what? To expose him. She swiped through her phone, then turned the screen toward me. I started noticing things a few months ago. Little lies. Inconsistencies. So I started saving screenshots. What I saw made my blood run cold. Messages from Austin to his friends, bragging about manipulating family members. Photos of receipts that didn't match what he'd told people. Posts where he'd claimed achievements that weren't his. But the worst part was a conversation thread from last year. Austin, talking to someone about a family fundraiser. Money that was supposed to go to our cousin's medical bills. Money that never arrived. He embezzled from the family, Natasha said quietly. And he blamed the organizer. A woman who got shunned from family events because everyone thought she'd stolen the money. I looked up at her, stunned. How much? Almost $8,000. My brother wasn't just a liar. He was a thief. I spent the next 3 days preparing. Not just for my meeting with Mr. Wallace, but for something bigger. I was going to confront Austin, but I needed to do it right. With evidence. With witnesses. With no way for him to talk his way out. Natasha and I communicated through encrypted messages, sharing files and building a timeline of Austin's lies. She sent me bank statements, screenshots, even voice recordings she'd made when he thought she wasn't listening. "Why are you doing this?" I asked her during one of our calls. "Because I almost married him," she said. "And if I'd gone through with it without knowing who he really was, I'd have spent my life wondering when he'd lie to me next." I understood. This wasn't just about helping me. This was about her protecting herself. On the morning of my meeting with Mr. Wallace, I sent a text to Camilla, "Get ready. This is about to get interesting." Then I sent one more message. To Austin. "Family dinner at Mom and Dad's this Saturday. We need to talk. Everyone should be there. His response came quickly, finally ready to admit the truth. I smiled at my phone. Something like that. Before Saturday's confrontation, I decided to make one small move. Austin had gone public with his accusations. It was time I went public with the truth. I logged into LinkedIn and posted a simple update. A photo of my employee badge, my name clearly visible, along with my title, Senior Software Engineer. The caption read, "Grateful for another successful quarter at TechCorp. Proud of what my team has accomplished." I tagged my company, my department, and several colleagues who'd worked on recent projects with me. Then I hit post. The response was immediate. Comments flooded in. "Congratulations. Well deserved. You're an inspiration." Colleagues shared the post. My boss even left a comment, "Exceptional work as always." Within hours, the post had hundreds of engagements. It was professional, undeniable, and backed by people who actually knew my work. Austin saw it. I know because 20 minutes after I posted, my phone rang. It was him. "What are you doing?" he demanded. "My job," I said calmly. "Something you'd know about if you actually had one." He sputtered, trying to form a response. But before he could, I hung up. His friends started questioning him in the comments of his old posts. The cracks in his story were showing. Saturday morning, I woke up to a strange text from Natasha. Just 3 words, "Trust me today." I stared at the message, trying to figure out what she meant. We'd been planning this confrontation together. What had changed? When I arrived at my parents' house that evening, the atmosphere was thick with tension. Everyone was there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, my parents, Austin, and Natasha. They were all gathered in the dining room, waiting. Austin was sitting at the head of the table, looking smug. "So," he said when I walked in. "Ready to come clean?" I set my bag down and pulled out my phone. "Actually, yes. I think it's time we all got honest." My mother looked relieved. My father nodded encouragingly. They thought I was about to apologize. They thought Austin had one. I started pulling up documents on my phone. Pay stubs. Performance reviews. Emails from my boss praising projects I'd led. I placed the phone in the center of the table. "This is my job," I said. "My real, documented, verifiable job. Anyone who wants to see the proof, there it is." The room went silent. People leaned in, looking at the screen. My uncle picked up the phone, scrolling through the evidence. His eyebrows rose. Then Natasha stood up. "There's more," Natasha said, her voice steady. She pulled out her own phone. "A lot more." Austin's face went pale. "What are you doing?" "Something I should have done weeks ago." She turned to the family. "Austin has been lying to all of you. Not just about his sister's job. About everything." She started showing them screenshots. Messages where Austin bragged about manipulating people. Posts where he'd claimed accomplishments that weren't his. Evidence of financial discrepancies. My mother gasped. My father's expression darkened. "Natasha, stop," Austin said, his voice rising. "You don't know what you're talking about." "I've been recording you," she said calmly. 4 weeks. Every lie, every manipulation, every time you badmouthed your sister or twisted the truth. I have it all. The room erupted in murmurs. Austin looked around frantically, trying to find someone who would support him. But everyone was staring at him with growing horror. "She planted this," he said desperately. "She's working with my sister to make me look bad. This is all fake." But even as he spoke, I could see people pulling away from him. The truth was too clear, too documented, too overwhelming to deny. I let Austin spiral for a moment, watching him try to gaslight everyone in the room. Then I spoke. "Austin, I have my employee badge right here. I can call my boss right now if you want." I can show everyone my office access logs, my project files, my direct deposit statements. Everything you said about me was a lie. I pulled out my laptop, which I'd brought specifically for this moment. I opened it and navigated to my company's internal system. My profile page loaded, showing my photo, my title, my department, my hire date, everything. This is me, I said, turning the screen so everyone could see. This is my job. The job you told everyone I was lying about. My cousin leaned forward, looking at the screen. That's actually legitimate. Of course it is, I said. I've never lied about my career. Not once. Austin tried to speak, but my father held up a hand. Let her finish. I looked directly at Austin. You tried to destroy my reputation because you couldn't stand that I was successful. Because it made you look small. So you decided to make me look like a fraud. The room was absolutely silent. Even Natasha had sat back down, watching with an expression that was almost proud. But the thing is, I continued, the truth always comes out. Natasha stood again, her expression hardening. And while we're being honest, let's talk about the fundraiser. Austin's head snapped toward her. Don't. The one for Cousin Bailey's medical bills, Natasha continued, ignoring him. Remember? When $8,000 went missing and everyone blamed the organizer? My aunt gasped. That woman was shunned from the family. She was innocent, Natasha said. She pulled up bank statements on her phone. The money went into Austin's account. I found the transfers. He embezzled from his own family and let someone else take the blame. The room exploded. People were shouting, demanding answers. My father stood up, his face red with anger. My mother looked like she might cry. Austin was shaking his head frantically. That's not true. She's lying. She's bitter because I broke up with her. We're still engaged, Natasha said coldly. Or we were. Until about 5 minutes ago. She pulled the ring off her finger and set it on the table. The small clink of metal against wood was somehow louder than all the shouting. I've been documenting everything because I was afraid of this, she said. Afraid of marrying someone who would lie to me, manipulate me, and steal from the people he claimed to love. Austin stood up so fast his chair fell backward. You're all insane. This is a setup. They've been planning this together to ruin me. No one needed to plan anything, I said. You ruined yourself. I didn't do anything wrong. His voice cracked, desperation bleeding through. I was just trying to keep her humble. She acts like she's better than everyone. I never said I was better than anyone, I replied. I just refuse to be less than I am to make you comfortable. My aunt, the one who'd always been skeptical of Austin, spoke up. I always thought something was off about you. Too smooth. Too quick with excuses. Not you too, Austin said, looking around wildly. Someone here has to believe me. But no one spoke up for him. The evidence was too clear. The lies were too many. And the trust was completely broken. Natasha crossed her arms. I have more evidence, she said quietly. A lot more. But I don't think I need to show it. Everyone already knows the truth. Austin's eyes darted between all of us. Then he grabbed his jacket and headed for the door. You'll regret this, he said. All of you. The door slammed behind him, and the room fell silent. For a long moment, no one moved. Then my mother started crying. My father put his arm around her, his own eyes wet. I'm so sorry, my mother said, looking at me. I should have believed you. I should have defended you. The apology hit me harder than I expected. I'd been so focused on proving myself that I hadn't realized how much I needed to hear those words. He's my son, my father said, his voice heavy. But what he did, there's no excuse. My aunt pulled out her phone. We need to contact the woman who organized the fundraiser. We need to apologize to her and make this right. Others nodded in agreement. Plans were made to return the money, to clear her name, to fix the damage Austin had caused. Natasha sat quietly through all of it, looking exhausted but relieved. When people started leaving, I walked over to her. "Thank you," I said. "You didn't have to do this." "Yes, I did," she replied. "For both of us." As I drove home that night, my phone buzzed with messages. Apologies from relatives. Support from friends who'd heard what happened. Even a message from Mr. Wallace saying our meeting was no longer necessary, everything had been cleared up. Austin's world was falling apart. And mine was finally coming together. The next few days were surreal. Word spread through the family about what had happened. The truth about the fundraiser came out publicly. The woman Austin had blamed was contacted and invited back to family events. She cried when my aunt called her. My parents reached out to me every day, trying to rebuild what Austin had broken. It wasn't easy. Trust doesn't come back overnight. But they were trying, and that meant something. Meanwhile, Austin went silent. No social media posts. No calls. No attempts to defend himself. He'd vanished into his shame. Natasha and I met for coffee. She looked different. Lighter, somehow. "Have you heard from him?" I asked. "Once," she said. "He wanted to apologize and ask for another chance. I blocked his number." "Good." She smiled. "I'm moving out of his apartment next week. Starting over." "You're strong," I told her. "Stronger than he ever gave you credit for." "So are you," she replied. "I watched you handle all of this with so much grace. You never lost control. Never stooped to his level. That takes real strength." Her words stayed with me long after we said goodbye. On Monday, I walked into TechCorp with my head high. The meeting with Mr. Wallace had been cancelled, but he'd asked me to stop by his office anyway. When I arrived, he was smiling. "I wanted to talk to you about something," he said. "We've been reviewing project leads for our new initiative. Your name came up repeatedly." My heart raced. "Really? Your team speaks highly of you. Your work is exceptional. And the way you handled that situation last week showed real professionalism under pressure." He slid a folder across his desk. "We'd like to offer you a promotion. Senior lead engineer. 10% salary increase and a team of your own." I stared at the offer letter, barely believing what I was reading. Thank you. This is incredible." "You've earned it," he said. "Several times over." When I left his office, I found messages from colleagues congratulating me. Apparently the promotion had already been announced to the department. People were genuinely happy for me. Austin had tried to destroy my career. Instead, he'd accidentally highlighted my resilience and professionalism. His sabotage had backfired spectacularly. I texted Camilla, "Promoted." Austin's plan failed in every possible way. Her response was immediate: "That's what happens when you mess with the wrong person." That evening, I decided to share my news publicly. I posted a professional update on LinkedIn, excited to announce my promotion to senior lead engineer at TechCorp. Grateful for the opportunity to lead amazing teams and work on innovative projects. Here's to new challenges and continued growth. The response was overwhelming. Hundreds of likes. Dozens of comments from colleagues, mentors, former professors. People I hadn't talked to in years reached out to congratulate me. But the most satisfying part was watching Austin's followers and mutual friends see the post. Some of them had believed his lies. Now they were seeing the truth in real time, backed by my company, my colleagues, and undeniable evidence. A few people who'd commented on Austin's original mocking posts came back and deleted their comments. Others sent private apologies. "I'm sorry I doubted you," one message read. "I should have asked for the truth instead of believing gossip." I didn't respond to most of them. Their apologies were appreciated, but not necessary. I hadn't done this for their validation. I'd done it for mine. By the end of the week, Austin's credibility was completely destroyed. People stopped following him. His posts got no engagement. The few times he tried to comment on anything, people called him out. He'd wanted to make me invisible. Instead, he'd erased himself. Natasha called me 2 weeks later. She sounded different. Stronger. "I need to tell you something," she said. "About why I helped you." We met at the same cafe where we'd first conspired together. She ordered coffee and sat across from me, her hands wrapped around the warm cup. When I first got engaged to Austin, I thought I'd found someone ambitious, someone driven. But over time, I noticed things. Small lies. Times when his stories didn't match up. Then I overheard him on the phone one day, laughing about how easy it was to manipulate people. She paused, looking down at her coffee. That's when I started recording things. Not because I wanted to expose him. Because I was afraid of marrying someone I didn't really know. "That makes sense," I said. "But when he started going after you, something shifted." I realized he wasn't just lying. He was actively trying to destroy someone who didn't deserve it. Someone who was actually successful and good at what she did. It made me sick. She looked up at me, her eyes serious. "I didn't help you just to escape him. I helped you because it was the right thing to do. And because watching you stand up for yourself gave me the courage to do the same." We sat in comfortable silence for a moment. Then she smiled. Plus, it felt really good to watch him fall. I laughed. It really did. The family gathering a month later felt different. Lighter. People actually talked to each other instead of performing for an audience. My parents had made genuine efforts to rebuild trust with me, and slowly, carefully, I was letting them in. Austin wasn't there. He'd been uninvited from family events until he could demonstrate real accountability, according to my father. No one had heard from him in weeks. My aunt announced that the money from the fundraiser had been returned to our cousin Bailey, with interest as an apology. The woman who'd been blamed was there, welcomed back with open arms and tearful apologies. During dinner, my uncle raised his glass. "To truth," he said. "And to family members brave enough to speak it." Everyone drank to that. When they looked at me, I saw something different in their eyes. Respect. Real respect. Later, as people were leaving, my mother pulled me aside. "I'm proud of you," she said. "Not just for your job or your promotion. But for how you handled everything. You could have been cruel. You could have destroyed him. But you just told the truth and let it speak for itself." "He destroyed himself," I said quietly. "I just stopped protecting him." She nodded, understanding. "That's the difference between you and him. You have integrity. He never did." As weeks turned into months, my life settled into a new normal. My promotion brought new challenges and opportunities. I led my first major project, and it was a massive success. My team respected me. My boss trusted me. I was building the career I'd always wanted. Natasha and I stayed in touch. She'd started dating someone new, someone who treated her with honesty and respect. "It's weird," she told me over lunch one day. "Being with someone who doesn't make me question everything." "That's not weird," I replied. "That's healthy." She smiled. "I'm learning that." I heard through family channels that Austin had moved to another state. He'd gotten a job in sales, something that let him talk his way through life without real accountability. My father had tried to reach out once, offering reconciliation if Austin would apologize and commit to therapy. Austin had refused. "Some people never change," Camilla said when I told her. "They just find new people to manipulate." I thought about that. About how Austin would probably repeat this pattern somewhere else, with someone else. But that wasn't my problem anymore. I'd protected myself, exposed his lies, and moved on. What he did with his life now was his choice. My only responsibility was to keep building mine. 6 months after everything fell apart, I attended another family gathering. This time, it was for my cousin's graduation. The same cousin whose medical fundraiser Austin had stolen from. She was doing well now, healthy and thriving. As I stood in the crowd watching her accept her diploma, my phone buzzed. A message from someone I didn't recognize at first. Then I saw the name. Austin. I saw your promotion announcement. Congratulations. You were right. I was wrong. I'm sorry. I stared at the message for a long time. Part of me wanted to respond. To accept the apology, to offer forgiveness, to close this chapter neatly. But another part of me, the part that had learned hard lessons about self-respect and boundaries, knew better. Some apologies are too late. Some damage can't be undone with words. I deleted the message without responding. Later, as I was leaving the ceremony, I ran into Natasha. She was there with her new partner, both of them smiling and happy. "How are you?" she asked. "Good," I said. And I meant it. "Really good." She squeezed my hand. "You deserve it." As I drove home that evening, I thought about everything that had happened. The humiliation, the fight, the vindication. I'd learned that standing up for yourself isn't cruel. It's necessary. That protecting your truth isn't selfish. It's survival. Austin had tried to make me smaller. Instead, he'd taught me how strong I really was. And for that, in a twisted way, I was almost grateful.